Like the person that I am in real life is the person that I'm being in my career. Like I'm not sacrificing who I am to book a job.
Right. Welcome back to It Takes the Universe. I'm Ashley, and today we have
Oscar Montoya.
yay! Insert clip here.
Ooh, whoa!
Oh, I thought you'd sip it.
What did you do?
It's from NASA.
What's from NASA?
The pill I cut into quarters, ground up, and muddled into the peach juice.
Bambi, we talked about this.
The work will figure itself out. Drugs are great for inspiration.
I know. That's why I'm already on them. I took 2 purple nurples the second I got off the freeway.
So the first question I ask people is, where are you from? And then what was your first creative outlet?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm from Palmira, Colombia, in South America, in between Ecuador and Venezuela. So I'm from there, and my first creative outlet was when I was 4 years old. I was dancing typical, your everyday folkloric cumbia music. I was a dancer, and so yeah, that was a way that I was able to express myself physically. And to me, that felt like I was like, that's my first like foray into the art or performance sort of universe.
Oh, so
Yeah.
cute. I'm scared. Because I felt like I found a little picture of little you. Birthday 2022. You said, I'm very proud of the person I've become. As a kid, I was very shy and quiet, terribly scared of people, and I was always doing stuff on my own. I lived inside my head, creating worlds just for me. I was always dancing. That was just natural, like shy, or was it just like, that's your personality as a kid, or was it?
I was very imaginative. Like would always, like I come from a place of scarcity. Like we didn't grow up rich. We were from like a tiny little town. So, we didn't have a lot of stuff to do or a lot of money, but I had my imagination. When I was very young, I didn't have like toys necessarily. I didn't have toys. But I remember my grandma would say that like sometimes at night, this is gonna be a creepy story. It's not creepy. I would be talking to myself, playing with my fingers, and those were my toys. Like in my brain, I'm like, oh, this finger is doing, and I would just like create these like worlds for me in my own brain, because anytime I would socialize, like I was very odd. I had a really hard time connecting with people, and I was like typically ostracized for being different, for being like a little bit on the quieter side, shyer side. I wasn't like a sports kid at all. So, a lot of it was like, well, because no one is sort of like approaching me,
right.
I'm sort of creating worlds in my brain for myself to play. But also because I was creating worlds in my brain, I wasn't out like trying to make friends
right.
or socialize. I was quite comfortable being alone and independent. So it's just sort of like snake eating its tail sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm fine. Yeah, I'm doing great in my own brain. Like
that's so
playing with my fingers. These are my friends.
When did you come here, and was it California first immediately?
No, I came here when I was 12, and I came to Queens, New York City.
Immigrant City.
Yeah, which in some ways was great because specifically the Colombian population in Queens was huge. I lived in a place called Woodside where I lived on 50th Street. And it's this like, Woodside is very like Latin and also Irish neighborhood, but it's above a certain street. So above 54th Street, it's like Irish. Under 54th Street, it's like all Latino. So like that, I was living on 50th Street, so like close to the border. Yeah. But yes, in some ways that was great because like I spoke Spanish, like there's so many other like Colombians and other Latinos in my neighborhood, but I had a huge culture shock because, I didn't have a paved road where I was from. to come to a place where it was like lights, noise, just a lot of like big city vibes. To me, it was like really hard to adjust. I remember the biggest struggle, the thing that I was so confused by was people having their lights on during the day. Because I'm like, why would you do that? The sun is out. Open your windows. Wow. It felt so wasteful to me. I'm like, no, you only turn the lights on when it's at night, but you only a certain amount of times during the day. So, so in that regard, it was like very much a culture shock. And I also didn't speak the language, so I had to like learn how to speak English. And and I was, still weird, sort of introvert, isolated kid trying to learn how to socialize. In a new language with a whole new culture was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So then so 12 onwards, so then what would you say helped you finally feel semi-adjusted? And how long did that take you?
Yeah, a while. Well, okay, I'll tell you this. When I got there, I knew. Also, I was going through puberty. So I was already going through, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what was going on. I was like just tossed in a new universe. And I quickly noticed that if you were othered, you were targeted. Because middle school kids are just the worst, And I said, okay, I need to assimilate as quickly as I can. I cannot be the person who's getting bullied all the time for being different. So for me, I clocked in like work and I clocked out when I left school. I was like, I need to erase who I am, anything in my personality. I learned English really quick. I got rid of my accent as quickly as I could. I was like, I cannot sound different. I spoke a lot less. I didn't really talk because it was just like at the time you just had to blend in to survive. But it is survival. It's the high school. It's like high school dynamic where it's like I don't want the target on me, so I'm going to project all of my insecurities onto other people, and that's how bullies start. So. Yeah.
That's how we got adjusted. I mean, Droop said it too. Droop coming from India and Payam was like the Latino community helped him when he moved here because at least he was also other than white. So I feel like it's a part of the journey of like immigrants coming here and like conforming to, and then one day you're like, enough.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a weird thing because like. It's like, okay, there were tons of people that were like Latin in my school, but they were like so Americanized, whereas they saw an immigrant kid not really like them, even though they were from maybe the same country, but they're like, no, like you kind of represent like my parents. Like there's something a little like off about it. Like I know that you're brown, I'm brown, we're the same kind of brown, but
racism within racism.
That part, you know what I mean? It's like we listen to Lil' Kim. What are you listening to?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and did you also feel like because there's races within race of like, you're Latino, but you're not from the Dominican Republic.
Oh, that part. Oh my God, absolutely.
I'm like,
oh my God. Well, that's a big thing. I mean, like, listen, I'm not gonna get on this soapbox here, but like, there is so much territorialism happening that separates a lot of us, because even there's so much of like, like Ecuadorians, Colombians historically don't. Like really don't like Venezuelans and vice versa. And there's so much of that.
Yes.
Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, that it's like you're creating borders. But then when you like even take away the race part of it, right? Yeah. Of like New Yorkers, Yankees versus Mets fans. You know what I mean? It's like everything. Bronx versus Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Queens versus Long Island. It's like there's so much of that regional thing that they're like, this is my identity. By creating my identity, I'm separating myself from everybody else, But the difference between it being like sort of proud of where I'm from there's a fine line between being proud and then being like antagonistic because you're from that place, you know? So it's just perspective. It's like, it comes from a place of pride both ways, but one is like status. I love where I'm from, and where I'm from is better than where you're from, right? We want to take status out of that, where it's like, I love where I'm from, you love where you're from.
Cool.
Let's live together. Hey, we're living here. Let's do it, you know?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was the journey. Okay, so were you at all, so then in high school still kind of to self and you doing what you had to do, were you then at all doing, because I'm not sure if this, doing stuff in UCB in New York? Or was UCB became to...
Oh, no. No, so I was a dancer. Like, that was my first career, was as a dancer. I went to school for dance. And while I was dancing, I mean, because dance has always been my life since I was 4 years old. When I came to the U.S., I was like, well, there's really not much dance. There's no cumbia really here. Looking back, there actually was a big cumbia like scene in Jackson Heights, but it was so removed from where I was living in Woodside that I had no clue. Also, this was before, you know, the internet and all that stuff. You know, I mean, we got AOL, and that's even that my parents could not afford AOL. Yeah. So I was like, there is nothing like that. But then I went to in my junior high school. There was a class named Talent, which is like you signed up for either there was like a journalism class, a band music class, and essentially it was like your electives of like what kind of art you want to do. And one of the classes they offered was dance class. And for me, I was like, this is what I love. Oh my God, I've been doing this forever. And the way that they sort of like made you choose is that they would be like, okay, who would like to go into the journalism program, essentially? And kids stood up in the auditorium and then they moved to a specific designated area so other kids in the school would see what you picked, right? And at the time I was like, what? Okay, I found my thing. And then they said, who wants to go to dance? I remember standing up and everyone laughing at me, like just like a bombastic jeer. And I turned to look, and at first I was very confused. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I was like, oh, of course. I'm the only boy. And it was like, I sit down and it's like a bunch of women who are also laughing at me too, like fully just like, and to me, that was like the inkling of like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is not something I should be proud about. It should be something secret. But the thing that I'll say about my young self is that I have to give it up for that kid that didn't back down, that still sat there and still committed to dance. And through that, I was able to do a lot of modern and contemporary dance taught by my heroes of my life, the person I owe everything to, Miss Janice Kozlowski, wherever you are. You have changed my life. And she was so supportive of me and like really introduced me to this new world of dance. And it like fully changed my life. Anyway, so that led me to have a career in dance. But I had terrible stage fright and anxiety. That for me, I was fine until it got to solos or auditioning for, you know, commercial dancing or anything like that. And I just couldn't do it. I just like had my nerves were too high for me to do anything that like made, when the spotlight was on me, sort of. Yeah. And so I was getting really frustrated. I was like, I'm losing work. I like can't find anything. Like I just don't know what to do, you know? And my friend at the time was like, maybe you should take improv classes. And I was like, no, I'm not funny. Like I'm not like, that's not what I do. I don't even know what that is. And he assured me, and he was like, maybe, look, listen, I know that it's scary, but there's a lot of people in that class that aren't comedians, that are just like normal people. There's like lawyers who take it so they feel better in their conversational skills. And I was like, oh, okay. So these are other people doing other things, taking improv to make themselves comfortable. This might work for me. So I signed up to a UCB class expecting to see people that were different. And I was quite mistaken. Because I remember the first day of class, the teacher made us go around and was like, okay, say your name and why you're here. And down the line, everyone's like, hi, my name is blank blank, and I want to be on SNL. Oh, I want to get like reps. Blah, 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 because like so-and-so was on SNL and I know that they did that, or like so-and-so is a big TV star and they did, and I couldn't even say my name. It got to me, I couldn't say my name. I was stuttering so hard, like it was so hard for me to say, because I was just like it just made me feel so crazy that during the break, I left. I like ditched the class. But I was very sort of curious about improv, because I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, you create something from nothing. Like, you say one word and they like do like theater off of that. Like, I've never been exposed to that. I didn't know anything about that. So then I was able, even with a student discount card that I got as a student at UCB, I didn't show up to any of those classes, but I went to see so many shows. And I was like, this seems amazing. This seems like magic to me. I was so blown away by the talent of people on stage that I saw, that I was like, this feels like truly like a superpower that I was so outside of it. I was like, how are they coming up with that? Like, they're saying one thing and then what makes them say this other thing, you know? But I was very much like, I'm not doing that. I'm not touching that. But I went to see every show all the time. And then after 2 years of just watching so many shows, I was like, I need to go back. Maybe. Oh, and at the time, like during all that time, I had a terrible knee injury, prevented me from dancing professionally. I was like in a weird point in my life where I was like, what do I do? I was working for a street style fashion blog at the time, I remember. And I was like, maybe I'll go into styling or something. I don't know. But then I was like, I felt so lost. I was like, maybe I should try doing, instead of watching, I want to be a part of it. And I went to another theater called the People's Improv Theater in New York City. And my teacher, shout out to Kevin Scott, who, because I was one of those people that, like, if you're in the scene, let's say you and I were in a scene together and the suggestion was like, I don't know, star, like you go ahead and initiate something from that.
Wow, Oscar, the stars look beautiful tonight.
And I would always say, the stars are beautiful. I would always like parrot, because it was it made me like collaborate, but I was always like so terrified of like, yes, exactly, of like, oh, is this right? Like, I don't know what to do. And Kevin Scott, after a while, stopped me in the middle of a scene and he was like, okay, what would you actually say if someone said something like this to you? And without even thinking, I responded and everyone laughed. And that is, again, need to remind you, the last time everyone laughed at me was they were making fun of me. But this one felt different. And something that I wasn't really, like, that doesn't really happen. Like, no one like laughs. Like, I don't make jokes. I'm not like a funny person. So that was like shocking, but I realized like, wait a second. Literally that moment I was like, am I funny? Like, am I capable of making people laugh? And it changed my perspective on improv, and I like locked in after that. It really was like an overnight thing of just like, oh my God, all I had to do was like trust myself. And for so long of my life, I've navigated my life trying to blend in and trying to hide, and trying not to be seen or perceived in any way. And then that was the first moment where they're like, not only do we see you, we validate you, and we encourage you to be yourself in a place. And I didn't really get that. The last person I got that from was from Miss Kozlowski, my dance teacher. You know, I didn't get that afterwards, not when I was like dancing professionally, because everything was like, you got to look exactly the same as everyone else, you know? So it changed my life. It changed my life. It made me feel more comfortable with myself. It opened me up to be more like myself and having an audience of people that like see me and validate me and recognize parts of themselves in me, and I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it after so long.
So in a Today article interview, you said the people that raised me, that seen me grow up,
Today has interviewed me?
couldn't accept my simple truth.
Wait, are you serious? When did they interview me?
I think it's around your Minx days, because you have it on your
Okay, great. Work, okay, I guess.
Yeah, you said the people that raised me, that seen me grow up, couldn't accept my simple truth, so it just made me really focus on the magic of found family.
Period.
Do you mind sharing that story of when you maybe
Yeah.
discussed it with them, and then that magic of found family, was that an instant realization of like, oh, they're not accepting me here,
Yeah.
I should create my own community, or is it like
It came from a place of survival.
Right.
Yeah, I came out to my parents when I was 17, knowing full well that they were going to disown me. Like I knew for a fact that that it wasn't going to be a good experience. So I had a backup plan. I like planned everything. I knew I had people that I was staying with until I went to college, but I had to get all those ducks in a row before I even committed. So, yeah, it happened, and I had to rely on friends to sort of like take care of me and uplift me, and sort of like, yeah, I'll say this, like when I got to college, I brought nothing, literally nothing. And I don't, like, what is college? Like, I didn't go on a tour or anything like that. Like, I was just like,
Sign up? Yes.
I signed up. I was like, okay, I'm gonna audition for this. Okay, I got into the program. Cool, let me go. I didn't have bed sheets. I didn't have pillows. I didn't have anything. And I walked in and I was like, oh, they'll have stuff there. No, they don't.
Right.
They don't have anything. They have a bed
Right.
and a desk. That's it.
Right.
So my roommate, Jesse Lair, he was also moving in, and his family was there sort of welcoming him. my ass with a like bin. I swear to you, I was like walking in with like a bindle being like, here's my clothes. And they're like, you don't have sheets? You don't have... Oh no. And then they took me to some like a Kmart or something like that. And they got me sheets, they got me clothes. Like and to me, I was so like shocked by this idea of like, these are strangers who didn't have to do that at all. And they were willing to do that when I've lived with these people that, are my family, and they weren't willing to do that, And so it's changed my worldview in the way that I'm like always depend on my found family. Like those are the people that I have. I don't have, actual family to like lean back on or anything like that. But I do have a amazing, huge network of people that I call my family that supports me and stand beside me. Who are my ride or dies. And I feel like because of Jesse and his family's like kindness, because like stuff like that can really like harden somebody, you know what I mean? Can like really affect somebody. And I could feel myself sort of like, isolating, because that is my natural tendency to. Right. But I think just having that experience made me just so thankful for people. I remember I asked them, I was like, what? And they took me out to dinner that day too. And this was shocking to me. I'm not used to that kind of attention at all. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, you don't know me at all. And I remember Jesse just being like, well, why wouldn't we do that? You're a person, like That's the thing to do. And yeah, why wouldn't you choose to love over the other option, you know?
Right. Oh,
why wouldn't you?
my
So
heart. I'm so
yeah.
glad. You know,
But I'm fine now.
You've lived with it, but I'm like, this is my first time hearing it, so I'm like, I'm you in that tone now. Yeah, no, I can relate with parents. Yeah. Yeah, immigrant parents too. It's not just regular American parents and it's angst of not understanding me. No, it's like generational stuff that's ingrained in them of this is how you live your life. And if the kids don't, I don't know what her name is, Dr. Shafali. And she has this great book called Conscious Parent, whatever. But it's basically like each parent, and that's why she's trying to rewire their brain, but like most parenting ways like have a screenplay of how their kid's life should be. And so when you follow the screenplay, Oscar is great, he's to himself, he listens to us. And then as soon as you try to write your own screenplay, then they're like, bad child.
Yes.
Child. I'm like, no, I'm my own individual. So I can relate.
Also, I think from being an immigrant parent, like you know this, it comes from a place of fear. Yeah. It comes from being terrified. I don't know what the impetus of that decision was. I think it was a lot of homophobia, obviously, but a lot of fear of being like, if this happens, how will I be perceived as a parent to my community, you know? And there is something about an immigrant's narrative that is so tied down to the legacy of being from a place not from here, and being so like, because I don't know if your family felt this, but like I think my family was always so concerned about like appearing like they had the best life to other people from Colombia especially, and like after therapy, recognizing like they weren't living for themselves. They were living for the clout, for the legacy, for the story. And to me, it's quite interesting to have someone be so afraid of seeing their son live this way when they did one of the scariest things in the universe, which is to leave the comfort or leave their home life to go to a place they've never visited to before. It's baffling to me. It's just so interesting, you know?
I 100% can relate to that. And it's also baffling, I personally don't want kids, but it's also baffling if you're like, fear of failure, but then you're going to cut off your child, and like that increases their failure if they don't have a supportive community.
But depending on what the eyes are, because like to some people it's like, we don't approve of your lifestyle, we're cutting you off, thank God for that. You know what I mean? I'm absolved of you living your hedonistic lifestyle, you know? So for them, they feel vindicated in that regard because the culture supports that.
Okay, so have an awesome roommate now, you're in college, so then how were you able to, so now we're transitioning from like dancing, the injury, to then improv, so how are we transitioning to acting, and how were you able to get like your first agent or manager?
Oh my gosh. Okay, acting. It was something I never wanted to do, you know. I was just like, I was there for the ride. Life closed its biggest door for me. I wanted to be in Paul Taylor Dance Company. That was physically impossible for me. I said, okay, I've spent my entire life working on this goal. It didn't work. What now? What do we do now? And I've learned, through that, that like, we are malleable human beings, We can course correct however we want, and we have to look at it is sort of saccharine, but it's like one door closes, another one opens. And for me, it was very that. It was like, okay, I could choose to wallow in pity for the rest of my life and be like, whatever. But it is what it is. Let's keep it moving. Let's figure out what else to do. And at the time, I was just taking classes, like sort of just like vibing, finding a community of new people, and being exposed to people who lived in the suburbs. You know what I mean? Like, oh, people with money.
Right.
Like, okay, this is interesting. I was having my own culture shock too.
Right.
And while that was happening at the People's Improv Theater, there was a huge casting call for In Living Color, the In Living Color reboot. And something at the time when I was like taking classes and stuff, I was very much like the only brown person in that class, the only queer person in that class. And I definitely felt that, you know. I will also say another person that I need to praise and sort of like give a huge shout out is one of my ride or dies. Her name is Julia Morales, and she is the reason why I continue to do improv. She was the one who like ignites. She is a Black Puerto Rican woman from Houston, Texas, who we saw each other in a space that we felt so othered, and we just said, we are going to do this together. And there were a trillion times where I was like, this is not, what am I doing here? And she would say, no, we're setting out to do this goal. We are finishing this goal of like finishing the classes and getting on teams. And she's like, she was very driven, and she was like very driven for us to do this together because there were so few POC there. That it was, she recognized the importance of visibility in those spaces in a way that I wasn't at all. Yeah. That I was just like, who cares if I'm on stage? But for her, it's like, this is a political statement. You being on stage and taking space and being one of the best people is a political statement. You see other brown people that see you do that, that swing that big and shine that bright, you're gonna change people's lives, you know? And if it wasn't for her, I would not be here, and that is a promise. Anyway. So the In Living Color sort of like casting happened, and they did a showcase at the People's Improv Theater. The AD at the time was like, who do we have that's of color? And they literally just picked me, someone who was a student, and was like, hey, you want to do this showcase? And I'm like, what is that? Right. They were like, just do whatever you want. Like, you have this amount of time and like sort of the guidelines. And I was like, I guess I'll do it. Yeah. So I just kind of like flailed around, sort of did that thing. And then I like made it to the next round, and ended up like landing a manager at that moment to be like, oh, and then an agent and all. And that's how I sort of like transitioned from just someone who was doing this for fun to someone who was doing this for potentially money, which was crazy to me. I was like, what is happening? At the time, I was a nanny too. And so like, I was like, wait, what's happening? So I was like taking care of this kid and also auditioning for commercials. That was like sort of my gateway into it. And then finding success in commercials and transitioning to like more theatrical stuff, and while still doing improv, you know, and getting on teams at the People's Improv Theater and the Magnet Theater in New York.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow, other doors. But you're going in the doors. Oh my gosh.
I also recognize that like there's a lot of privilege in that. Like the fact that I was chosen and not some other student was, you know what I mean? Like there is something about like destiny and like things working out. I think like there's so many elements to determine what works and what doesn't work. And it's like, they're not all good and bad, you know, like, the show never went anywhere. Like, In Living Color died, you know, they shot the pilot and then it sort of ended. But that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's not okay, but like other things happen, doors open, we move forward. Exactly, we move forward. So I'm very like lucky that things sort of fell into place for me, especially because I just felt like I was like, free falling and just clinging to branches on my descent down, you know? So like, I'm still doing that, to be honest with you.
Same, like, you know my little UCB story's the same. I was like, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we have agent. We're doing the commercials. Okay, so many questions. Which question? Okay, I guess we can then. So then from that agent and manager, that's how you got like your beginning like credits, right? Like the Playing House, Hacking High School.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so those were like through your agent. Okay. So what was this in 2015? It says you got an improvisation like News New York Award for like best, like nominated for best improvisation.
Oh my God, you're doing your freaking research. Wait, what? When was this?
It says 2015, so you got nominated for the award was called Improvisation News New York Awards.
Yes.
And it was nominated for best improvisational improv.
Improv, yeah. What
was that?
Oh my God, that is such a deep cut. Wow.
So I was like, okay.
You're out there being like scraping any. 2015 was the year I moved to LA, but I was like very successful in the improv scene in New York. I was doing a lot of stuff at the Pit. I was doing a lot of stuff at the Magnet, and I was doing some stuff at UCB, namely with a freestyle improv group called North Coast that Julia and I were both in, and we were the first of its kind, and people were so into it that we won a bunch of cage matches at UCB in New York. We had our own show at the Pit. Like, people wanted us. We performed at so many festivals, and I think that we won an award for like best improv team or something. Yeah.
Okay. Bless the Heart, 2019, 19 episodes.
Oh, bless the heart.
How did this come about?
This is like, oh my God, amazing. Okay, so I got a voiceover agent because I was doing podcasting, a lot of podcasting. And so at a point, I was doing 5 podcasts at a time. It was just, I love to talk, so I'm like, I had a Disney podcast called Inside the Disney Vault where we talked about Disney movies in chronological order. It's very fun, check it out. We had a meeting with a voiceover person, and they were like, oh, we want to see your tape. Because typically for voiceover artists, you have to have like a reel that you take class, and then you sort of like do your voices or whatever. But somebody there was like, I listened to your podcast, and I got signed from just doing podcast stuff. So one of the early auditions that I did was for a show called Bless the Harts. It's in the King of the Hill universe. And I auditioned, and like I was like very new to it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I remember it's just so crazy. The showrunner, Emily, I walked in and she saw that I was wearing an Elvira denim jacket, and the character is like the gay best friend of one of the daughter of the family, and they're sort of alt and sort of like the cool kids, the cool loner kids, and it's based off of her and her friend, and she saw me wear that denim coat, and she was like, you're right, you're my friend, hands down. And so I did that for 2 seasons, and it was such a fun show. My Rudolph. You know what I mean? Like Jillian Bell, tons of incredible people that I was, it's one of those jobs that you're like, what am I doing here? It just felt insane. So yeah, I did that in 2019 and during the pandemic. Awesome. We shot a whole season during the pandemic, which is crazy.
I love that came out of you doing your own thing.
Yes, everything
I've
done came out of my own thing. Like,
yeah, that makes me so happy.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
You just the thing is, like, you don't know who's consuming your content. You never know. Right. So if you're ever in your head about like, oh, who's gonna watch this? You just put it out there. Yeah. You put it out there, and you never know, that might be the stepping stone for a big opportunity.
Okay, so 2021. Like this Instagram caption, Lifetime Achievement Unlocked. I got to be in very small, almost microscopic part Disney's latest animated Encanto. So this was coming from all your
God.
voiceover stuff?
This is from, this is like, so it's so gaggy I got to do this. Yeah. So they were, so New York has so many Colombians, but LA does not. It's a very small Colombian population. And so they needed background voices and singers and additional little voices to do Disney's Encanto. But in LA, there were only like There's a very few amount of us. So they literally scoured the database and just looked at like actors who are Colombian, and they found 4 of us, and they said, "Hey, are you interested in being a part of this?" And of course we said, "Yeah." So I got to be a little character on Encanto. Like I got to sing in the background. Like it was a dream come true. Wow. I got to be in a Disney movie, which is such a crazy thing because I did that Disney podcast because I've never seen a Disney movie before. And then I got to watch them all, and then now I got to be in Encanto. What? Full circle. Wow. Crazy. And of course Encanto takes place in Colombia, so they're looking for like authentic Colombia. You know what I mean? So it's just insane. It's insane. Crazy.
Oh, my heart. Oh, that makes me so happy. Okay. So I guess everybody wants to know then. 2022, like Dimension 20. Like
oh my God.
Oh my God.
The best thing I've ever done. I will say, hands down, that is the best thing I've ever done in my life. Dimension 20. Doing stuff with Dropout is like changed my life. It's absolutely like the most incredible thing because it's like the reason why I do improv. Yeah. I get to do stuff with people that I consider my friends. Like this is, when you do so many commercials, you book so many gigs. You know that first day where you go in and you're like, am I gonna like these people? What's the vibe? Yeah. Like you don't know. It's like a first day of school kind of energy. But not with Dropout. Like I'm like, I know who's working here. I know who's in the cast. These are all people I love. And it just feels like anytime I do anything with them, it just feels like I'm back at like school with all of my besties, and we just create content together. And Dimension 20 was my first time doing Dungeons and Dragons, and that's also, Dimension 20 is like one of the biggest D&D shows in the world, and they have such a legacy. They have such a solid brand with a very opinionated fan base. Right. And so when I got asked to do it, I was like, I'm so nervous. Like, I've never done it. Right. I don't want to be dragged through the mud for these fans who are, and justly have opinions about the show that they care so much about. And, I got to do something I never thought I was going to like because, as an immigrant kid, D&D is very associated with like white people. And I was like, there's no space. But then when I sat on the table, there were so many people of color. Yeah. Lou Wilson, Serena Marie, Omar Najab, Abria Iyengar. Like, I was like, most of this table is POC. Oh. I had no idea. And to me, again, it goes back to what Jules was saying of the visibility. Yeah. If you show that it can be done, people who've been like fed this lie will believe like this isn't for me. But when you see people, melanated people, on screen doing something that is, not typically addressed for them, you're like, not only can I do this, I can thrive in this space and I can have fun in this space. And I get to be seen and validated as the person that I am in this space. And that's how I felt doing that experience, Like, the character that I played was so tied to me and sort of like, it was just like a very personal like story for me. And I'm so glad that it came out the way that I envisioned it to be. And the editors and everyone that worked on that show just put so much love. And you could see that in that show, but specifically in that season. And the amount of feedback I've gotten on that project has been life-changing. Has been so immediate and so positive. There's a couple of haters out there, but...
Everywhere.
Exactly. There's going to be haters everywhere. But for the most part, it has been met with such a positive, like, Hadouken of love. You know what I mean? Like, it just, I feel so embraced and so seen and validated by the Dropout fan base in a way that I didn't think it was going to happen just because I'm like, I'm so weird. But they've just been so incredible, Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good to hear. Okay. All right, Mr. Richie. Tell us how this came to you.
Minx.
And how you, if someone's an actor, oh my God. Like, what was your process for preparing for this? Richie.
This is some tea, okay? I'm gonna tell you for real what happened.
Okay.
I go in for this audition. This is the last audition I go before the world shut down for quarantine. So I go in there and I'm just like, I help Shakira with a self-tape. I always help Shakira with self-tapes.
Nice.
We just have good chemistry and we just vibe so well. And she was auditioning for a role in that show. And I'm reading the script and I'm like, this character seems really fun. And I bother my manager and I'm like, get me an audition for this now. And he was like, okay. He gets it. And so I show up. It's in Santa Monica.
Ugh.
Back when auditions were in Santa Monica. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Your whole day's gone.
That's all you do all day.
Yeah.
So I go over there and I'm sort of hanging out, and then I see my friend Percy, who is a ball of energy, a ball of light. He works at After Midnight as sort of like the crowd person.
Yeah.
Unbelievable superstar human being. Percy, you're incredible. He's there, and we are cutting up. We're like, hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. We're talking, and then the casting director opens the door, and she's like, Oscar, be quiet, we can hear you. These are thin walls. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm looking like Percy sideways, like, why did you get in trouble? Why did I get in trouble? So then when it's my turn to go, I go in and I probably give one of the most mid auditions I've ever given in my life. Very because I feel bad. I walk in and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she's like had enough with me. She's like, okay, let's just do this. I go, I do the thing, and she's like, okay. And I was like, typically in auditions, you do it
They give you some direction.
again. And she said, no, that's good. And I said, well, that's the end of that. Bye.
Yeah.
And then quarantine. The shutdown happened.
Right.
I don't hear anything for months, for such a long time. During that process, though, during that time, I'm auditioning for another show. A huge show. Big deal with a big actor. Huge role. I go in. I have maybe 7, 8 audition callbacks. They're micromanaging. This is a big project, changing everything. But for me, I'm like, I've never auditioned this long for anything. And it was for a drama, which I'm like, okay, weird. That's not really what I do. The character I felt was like, this is so wrong for me.
Yeah.
But okay, I was like committed. They kept me for a long time. I was like, when are they? And I know for a fact that every big names audition for this.
Right.
And I was somehow making it past. So, you get a little confident after like the 8th callback that you go on. And I'm like, okay, it looks like I'm going to book this job.
Yeah.
I don't. I make it so far. I sign the contract. It's like literally between me and someone else. And then they literally offer it to a bigger name.
Right.
I'm devastated.
Right.
Devastated.
Yes.
First of all, the world is
Yes.
being destroyed.
Yes.
And the biggest gig of my life just falls through. And I'm just like, well, okay. Then a month later, they're like, oh, by the way, you're still in the running for this show. And I'm like, for what show? They're like, Minx. And I had to be like,
Tell me what
I don't even remember what this show is. Yeah. So then I do the thing and I do a Zoom, like a session or whatever, being like, okay, well, that was that. I'm feeling so defeated.
Right.
I'm like, well,
Yes.
I was fully being like,
Yes.
well, that's the end. Oh, yes, I forgot to mention that I had a full Britney moment because I had a huge fro. And then during the pandemic, when stuff was going down and when I was not booking this job, I shaved my head. Bald-headed. Go in, and then they're like, Oh, I go into the producer session. They're like, this is the time. They cancel it 20 minutes before I go in. They're like, we're good. And I'm like, oh, well, they made their decision. Well, that sucks. The next day, they're like, you booked it. I was like, what? Wait, hold on. Wait, what?
Crazy.
Off of one thing, I'm like, okay. I get a call from the showrunner, Ellen Rappaport, Goddess. She's like, we just knew. We knew. From jump, you were it, you had the energy. And they were like, great, awesome. Rehearsals are here. You still have that beautiful fro that you had at the audition, right? And I said, actually, no. And there was a little moment of panic because they were like, no, we want him to have hair. It's the 70s, you know? Right. But my hair grows so fast that by the time we shot the pilot, wow, I had hair.
And they act like they don't have wigs. Texture wigs.
Real tea. I was the only series regular that didn't have to wear a piece, a wig, nothing. I had my own hair. And yes, those are my real sideburns. People are like, oh, those sideburns look so authentic that they put. I'm like, bitch, those were my. I was walking around the street with sideburns and a mustache for years. No.
Hilarious.
But yeah.
Oh my
I love that job. I mean, that was such a
oh
great
my God,
gig.
what you learn. You know, now you're going on set. What did you take away?
From Minx?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I learned everything on that show. I learned how to work on a very quick schedule. I learned that it really is about the chemistry of your cast, especially with an ensemble show like Minx was. Like, I remember the first thing we shot ever was the last scene in the pilot episode when the whole crew is like vibing and having a good time. And we have not met each other. We didn't talk to each other. We were like, this could be bad. Mm-hmm. And the second the cameras were on and we were there, we cut up and it was like, okay, like, y'all made the right decision. Yeah. Everybody felt so good. And it was a family. Like, I love those people that worked on that show. I love the people who worked behind the cameras on that show. I still talk to those people. Those are still my friends. Like, I got to experience, I mean, the show's canceled, unfortunately, but like the memories that I had from that show are, y'all, you can't take that away from me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I learned that I could act in front of a camera. I learned that I could do drama for camera. I learned that I am capable of doing this for real. And it's not like a silly little like recurring or guest star gig. It's a series regular job. Yeah. And I realized that I could do it. Yeah. I was able to pull it off. Yeah. Somehow. You know? So, yeah. And honestly, the biggest thing is I was able to wear some of the tightest clothing I've worn in my life for that show and not look half bad in them. So, that part. That show was great. I love that show. Please watch Minx. It's on Stars. You can watch it on Stars.
Yay! I asked Shakira the same thing too. I mean, now that we know it's on Tubi, but like when Damascus was shot and then Not Anywhere, like, how did you, I guess, cope with then like finding out? I feel that too about Grand Crew, that it was canceled. Like, what was your, for maybe like actors who were like, I got my show too, and then I got canceled too. How was what were the tools that you like?
Not only did we find out that the show was canceled while we were shooting the season finale, the week of.
Oh my God.
But we also found out that it was getting pulled from HBO Max, meaning nobody was going to see season 2 of Minx. And I said, oh, we still have a week of shooting. Interesting. But we said, you know what? This is still our show. Let's give it all we got. Right. And we fully committed, and then Stars ended up buying the show from HBO Max, and they aired season 1 and 2. It's currently on there, so you could see all of that, all of our hard work. And season 2 is so good. To think that there could have been a universe where no one could have seen that season. Oh my God, what a shame. What a loss. because that is such an incredible season for so many people in that show, and thank God it's out there. So I just feel very lucky. But I was bummed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fun. This didn't feel like work. This didn't feel like I got the blessing to work every single day on set. I was in every single episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. And what a gift. Some people go through this trying to audition all the time and not booking something like this. And I was so lucky. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed that whether or not it was canceled or they renewed it or whatever, that I got to experience what I experienced.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just looking at, I'm like terminally optimistic all the time. So for me, I'm always being like, yeah, hey, it is what it is.
It was a win.
It was a win.
Yeah.
It was a win. I got cast out. I got cast as soon as I go on a show. I never thought that would happen. I would never in a trillion years expect to be on a TV show. Ever.
Oh.
About penises? What?
With the tennis rackets.
What the hell? Yeah.
What the Halle Berry? Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. I have a few more, then I will stop holding you hostage. What does drag mean to you?
Oh my God. Okay, drag. What does drag mean?
Just a casual question.
Yeah, you just dropped it like boop. Drag is everything to me. Drag is performance. Drag is the allowing yourself to be an extended part of yourself. Drag is putting on a facade that is so authentic. That is drag to me. I do drag as a character named Ozma, and she's had so many permutations of that of who that character is. But she's just me. Like that's just me. That's me being like a clown. That's me working, like really working on my choreography background and exploring that. It's me performing songs in Spanish and showing my Latinidad. Like, drag is the mask that I put on to explore other sides of myself. That isn't just like, oh, Oscar's on stage performing. It's like someone else.
Sasha Fierce.
Yes, period.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I always like to ask, like, the cliche question of good advice, but I always like to ask, like, what's bad advice that you've ever received?
Oh my God.
Or you overheard and you're like, please don't.
Bad advice. The worst, the advice that I've received was lose weight. I've gotten so much of that, so much. And I'm like, I'm a cis male, like, oh my God. And people are still talking about like, yeah, you are fine, but you gotta lose a couple of pounds. And I'm like, holy, that is still happening?
Yeah,
it's such a joke to me. Anytime like I hear that, I'm like, well, that's not happening. I'm sorry. That's just not, that's not a thing that's happening. And if the role is dependent on how much a person weighs, then anybody of that weight can play it, which means it wasn't meant for me, So that's the biggest, that's like the worst sort of advice I've ever, anything about like changing the appearance is like what is that? What am I supposed to do with that information?
Right.
I don't want it that bad that I'm willing to like lose pounds, change the way that I look, change the way that I'm act. I don't need it that bad.
Right.
Right.
Oh, that's such a good answer. And then what's either the best advice you've been given or would like to give to people who are
oh my gosh
acting,
here's the thing. I mean, like, listen, if you're tuning in and subscribing and commenting as you should, you take this seriously enough to want to pursue it. And I would say what you book and what you don't book isn't reflected on your ability or skill set or who you are at all. It is so easy to link our self-worth to what we do for a living, especially when we navigate this universe as when I ask what your name is, typically the follow-up question is, what do you do for a living? It is so in our society embedded in who we are and so much about our self-worth that, you can be disillusioned and stop doing this. No. Keep showing the universe who you are in whatever means or capacity that you want to, whether it's writing something, producing something, putting up a YouTube video, like even journaling, like show people who you are. You never know who's watching. You never know who needs to hear what you have to say right now. And booking stuff is the financial, it's the professional side of it, but it's not the artistic side of it, yeah? And if you are an artist, if you call yourself an artist, let me see your art. Let me see your art. And the journey of being a working artist is finding a way to make your art, capitalizing on that art, but that takes a journey. That will take a while. So don't stress just because you don't book that one thing.
What is something that you are proud of in your personal life? And then what is something that you're proud of in your career?
Something that I'm proud about in my personal life is, I mentioned this earlier. I think the proudest moment of my life was in junior high school. Getting up when they said dance talent, I stood up and I didn't let this. It was like really out of character for someone who's trying so hard to hide. To still, because I love dance so much that I committed to sitting down and like, despite everyone making fun of me, I was like, I'm gonna commit to doing this. And I could have been like, yeah, no, you're right, dancing is stupid, and then never done it again, and I could have been something else. I don't know. But that's the proudest moment of my life. So sticking up for myself in that way. And the proudest thing I've ever done in my career, I feel like, this is going to be like a weird thing to say, but I think the proudest thing about my career is that like the person that I am in real life is the person that I'm being in my career. Like I'm not sacrificing who I am to book a job.
Right.
Like I'm not. I've lost many jobs because like I had to do one thing, I had to do another, and I said no to any of those things. I'm not like sacrificing bits of who I am for a job. And I think having that, again, standing up for myself too, professionally, it's like, affected, prevented me from booking big, huge things, but also I leave my like sort of moral code intact and like been, like I'm myself, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. 100 years go by, we're dead, we're gone. And they have a newspaper article about Oscar's legacy.
Well, it's today.
It's today.
Today.
Oh, no.
Read that article. Read that Today article.
Right, exactly. What would you want your legacy article to say?
Oh my gosh.
Just a super cash.
100 years from now.
They're like,
Looking back. That's interesting. Yeah, I can't, really speak for the career because I still feel like it's not like a retrospective of like, I've done everything I need to do. I still like things are kind of happening.
Hope to leave?
But I feel like the thing that I would love to leave with is that like I do want to spread the message of positivity and like being kind to people. I just want people to know that you can navigate this universe. It's such a cold, terrifying place to exist right now, more than ever before. But just in your own personal life, life is hard and cruel. And honestly, like I've experienced some really dark stuff in my life. But the option to always lead with positivity and kindness has been my MO from the very beginning, approaching everything, even like my improv, from a sense of play, a sense of joy, and not a sense of competition or anything like that. Like my brand as a comedian, as a personality, as someone pursuing a career is like I am kind, I am nice, I am warm, I am open, I am inviting. There's a lot of people that like will meet me and be like, oh, I didn't think, because a lot of Dropout stuff that I do, I'm like very like bubbly and like very kind, and the biggest response that I'll get from people is like, oh, that's not an act, like you really are this way. And to me, I'm like, whoa, to think that people watch what I do through like a cynical lens like that is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because of course I am the person that you see before. Like I am that. I'm not that good of an actor, but I'm not capable of being anything but myself. You know. So I think like centuries from now, I want people to remember that you can live a life with warmth and positivity and optimism and kindness. Yeah.
Yes, which he does. Number 1 teacher at UCB, most requested.
Oh, that's so kind.
True, factual, and it's actually facts. So it can be kind, but it can also be scientifically proven. So you guys know, okay, so it takes a universe to raise a star is my like twist on the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Because I'm like, everybody in this industry is aiming to be a star, we're all the stars, and then together the community is the universe. So I always like to ask I feel like you already answered this, so maybe it might be a reiteration, but when you first decided, like, you know, you talked to your parents, you had your plan of like, I'm gonna pursue this, who was a star then that helped you like, I'm gonna go for this, and then now 2025, who's a star currently like
who is the star?
You can list more than one people. People are like, oh my God, there's so many. I'm like, whatever comes to mind. So when you first...
There's so many milestones of people that have like uplifted me and backed me and supported me. I mean, you're totally right. Like it does take the universe to raise a star. Also, I'll say career-wise too, everything that I've ever booked or anything that I've been proud to do has been in a group setting. Even from my dancing days. Like I was part of like a dance company, like an improv team, ensemble cast. So like, it's all about like recognizing that, to me, it's like, it's not even like a star. It's like the blanket of the universe is the picture, is zoomed out, zoomed in. It's everything, you know? There's no individuals in this. Like we are all a part of that system. That's my answer.
That's your answer. Final answer. Where can they find you, Oscar?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Ozzymo, OZZYMO, for any projects I have up.
Yay! Thanks for coming, Oscar.
Bye.
Bye.